Hey, what's up everybody? GameDad here, coming at you guys with another Let's Fix video. In this video, what I'm going to do is take apart my original Xbox. Now recently, I did a series of 2 collection videos going through my Xbox collection, and I discovered that this guy is not really reading the disc very well anymore. So, come along as we take this guy apart and we clean the laser head. Alright, so here is my Xbox, and then I've got my iFixit toolkit. I've got some isopropyl alcohol. The higher the percentage, the better, but you want to make sure you go with at least a 70%. That way you don't cause corrosion from water. And then I got some dust off to be able to blow some of the dust out of there. And finally, some Q-tips. So, let's go ahead and dive right in. First thing that you want to do is actually flip it over, because that's where all of the access screws are. Now, in order to gain access, you actually have 6 different screws, and they all take a size 20 Torx bit. So what I'm going to do is we're going to remove the rubber feet, because each one of these feet has a screw underneath it. Just going to set those to the side for now. And they have some pretty sticky double-sided tape on there, so you don't have to worry about them being able to get back in there or not. Alright, now we are going to remove the 2 screws that are under the labels, and these are more like bolts than actual screws. You'll see what I mean here. These are actually some pretty long bolts that they put into that system to hold it together. So we'll set those to the side. Get the other 5 here. Yeah, and overall what you're going to need is a size 20 Torx bit for these main screws. Then you'll also need a Phillips head on the inside. That way you can remove the drive cover. And then you're also going to need a size 10 Torx bit to remove the drive itself. Let's get that one undone. Okay, we got one more of these. Now, once you have all of those removed, you want to go ahead and flip the Xbox back over. And then it actually separates at the sides all along here, here, and then from the top seam on the front here. So we're going to go ahead and pull that apart. There we go. Okay, get the other side. Once you get it started, then it comes off fairly easily. Alright, there we go. So, got that lid off. We'll go ahead and set that to the side for now. And as you can see, you have your disk drive right here, and you have your hard drive right here. Now the first thing that you want to do is go ahead and remove the ribbon and power cords from the hard drive. That way you get them out of your way. And this is just a standard IDE cable from older style computers. Okay, then you gotta kind of wiggle that power cord out. I have big hands, so I gotta get in there with a little pry tool. Almost got it. There we go. Kind of fish that out of the way. And now what we're gonna do is we have a Torx screw that we need to take out. The ribbon cable was covering. So we're going to go ahead and switch to our size 10. Take that one out. There we go. Just set that in the tray. And then that is what is holding the actual hard drive piece in place. So we'll go ahead and pull that out. Kind of fish those cables out of the way. And then as you can see, that is the whole container for the hard drive. And I got a little bit of dust on there, so pardon the sound, we're going to spray some of that out. Okay, and I just have the hard drive sitting off to the side. Now this is just a standard Molex connector from for like a PC power supply. So that you don't really have to worry about too much. Those are fairly easy to find. However, this power cord right here for this drive is actually specific to the Xbox, and that is something you definitely do not want to damage. So what we're going to do is first we're going to pop out the other side of this ribbon cable. There we go, disconnect it from the drive itself, and then carefully, it's kind of hard to see, but it's connected the same way that other Molex connector was. There's just a little bit of plastic there, so you want to get in there and you want to pop that loose as well. So I'm going to do that nice and careful, don't want to break it. There we go. So as you can see, that's kind of got a special connection to it. It looks like, what is that, 12-pin connector that's on there, 12-pin Molex. Now that is the only screw that takes that 10-bit torque. And then we actually have a Phillips screw. Oh, I'm sorry, there are two more that take a 10-bit torque. We haven't gotten to the Phillips yet. So we have one here and one down on the side right here, and that is what actually holds the plastic in for this drive. So we're going to go ahead and remove both of those. There we go, got those screws out. I'll just get my Phillips ready. Okay, and then now what we're going to do is lift out that whole section. So now as you can see, it's the same kind of thing. It has this big plastic riser on it, and that is actually just kind of sitting in that riser. It's got a couple little soft snaps that keep it in place, but we can go ahead and set that to the side. Now, you can see where the rest of that IDE cable connects right here. That's connecting down onto the motherboard for the system. Now, as you can see, before we get to the drive, you can see down here that we still actually have quite a bit of dust that's here, built up in the CPU cooling block and all of that. So we're going to kind of spray that out a little bit more with our canned air. Pardon the sound. Ooh, yeah, got quite a bit of dust buildup over the years in there. Get all the little dust bunnies out of there. The CPU cooling block is looking a lot better now. Kind of got some more dust hanging out on the motherboard and the power block right here. So that kind of dust can actually wreak havoc on your cooling and also just the longevity of your device. Alright, so we've gotten all the bulk of the dust out of there. So now let's go ahead and turn our attention back to the disk drive. Now you notice it has this little metal shield that can just come straight off. And you'll see right here, that is the front access plate on the drive. Now what we want to do is actually get inside of the top of the drive right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move the main chassis of the Xbox out of the way for now. And now we're going to be able to focus on the drive itself. Now, in order to pop this off, there's a couple little plastic tabs right here and here that are holding it together, but then there's also two screws. So we need to remove these two Phillips screws. They're just nice tiny little screws. There we go. Alright, and now if we just push these little plastic tabs in, we'll be able to lift up that top shield, and there you can see we have the eye, the laser eye for the reader, we have the spindle that holds the disc in place, and then this is the whole top of it that keeps everything nice and stable. So this actually has a little bit of dust on it as well, so I'm going to go ahead and hit this with a canned air as well. Okay, that's actually not too bad. In here we do have some buildup around the edges. It's kind of hard to see, but we'll go ahead and blow out that extra dust. Now it's very important to keep in mind that you do not want to touch that the actual laser lens with your finger, because the oils on there will ruin its readability. Alright, now that that is out of there, we are going to go ahead and use some of our isopropyl alcohol, and we're going to use it to clean this pad right here where the disc sits. So we'll take one of our Q-tips, we'll just dip it down in the isopropyl alcohol, and we're going to go ahead and just clean this area, get all the dust off of it, and it's nice, it'll just dry and evaporate out. That way you don't have any extra moisture in there, because that would definitely damage your disk drive. So we'll get all of that out of there. Yeah, you can see a lot of that dirt and grime coming off. A lot of it's coming off onto that Q-tip. So we'll go ahead and clean that really well. Okay, and now with that same isopropyl alcohol, I am actually going to go around the edges of the casing for the optical lens, but I'm not going to touch the optical lens with that rubbing alcohol on there. I'm just going to kind of clean away the dirt. Go ahead and get the sides of it. Okay, a lot of dirt and grime can actually build up in here over time. Alright, now with the dry side, that is what I'm going to use to clean off the lens in here. So very carefully, because you'll notice when I push on this, that lens will actually drop down into the system. So we want to make sure that we don't push too hard, because we can damage it, but you just kind of roll across. That way you can clean that lens. There we go. And as you can see, by now, all of a sudden, all of that is all nice and dry as well. So we'll set that Q-tip to the side. We don't need it anymore. And now we just put it all back together. So we're going to take our cover, kind of slides right back into place right there. Snaps down over those tabs. There we go. We're going to take our Phillips. We're going to put these two screws back where they go. And you want to be careful that you are not pushing down on the top of this very hard. It actually gives you a warning specifically not to do that, because you don't want to damage the internal components that are in there by applying unnecessary pressure. So we're going to screw this back together. There we go. We'll go ahead and put that shield back on. Okay, and now what we need to do is bring our main Xbox chassis back. We'll go ahead and cap that rubbing alcohol. Probably better if it didn't spill everywhere. Alright, now that the dust has settled a bit with this, I'm going to go ahead and hit it one more time with the canned air. Yeah, we get a few more dust bunnies out this time. There's one specific one down in there that I'm seeing move around. So I'm going to hit that one with the tweezers. Again, I have large hands, so I don't want to get in there and mess something up. This is a great toolkit, by the way, this iFixit kit. Comes with a lot of things that you would need in order to work on any kind of game repair or mobile devices. Get the rest of that dust out. Alright, that is all clear. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our drive and put it back into this nice little chassis. Now you can see you have some things that you can line up with in the chassis right here. And that is kind of how this does a soft snap into place. There we go. Now we are going to set this back down in here, and these bars right here, those are actually what those giant bolts go through down into the bottom of the motherboard. So we want to make sure that those line up. And now I'm going to go ahead and reconnect the IDE cable and the power cable. It's important to note that these cables will only connect in one way. There we go, get that lined up. Apply some pressure. All right, that is back in there and that is sitting nicely. Okay, so now what we need to do, oh, I got a little more dust on this guy. Now what we need to do is sandwich this guy back in. That way we can go in, tighten everything up, and put those Phillips or those Torx 10 screws back in there. So I'm going to go ahead and fish this cable back up through this plastic chassis. There we go. And we'll go ahead and plug it in. Again, there's only one way that it will connect, so that should make it fairly easy for you to reconnect. There we go. Sandwich that back in. There's some nice cable guides for this here. That way it all fits snugly where it's supposed to. Okay, I'm going to let this drop back down. Just like with everything else, it is molded specifically to be able to fit in here. Just gotta find that spot it rests down onto. Almost there. Sometimes the power cord underneath can get in your way. There we go, that is sandwiched back down. So now what we're gonna do before we continue is we are going to put our Torx 10 screws back. Because our ribbon cable is actually going to cover up one of the spots, that screw that went right there. So we're going to screw this back down. There we go. Put that top one back in. There's that. All right. Now we can go ahead and fish this back through. Same as before. Has that nice one-way fit. So we'll smash that in there. There we go. Our cable is now lying flat. And that means that now we can go ahead and put this top piece back onto the console. There we go. Got to make sure that you actually put it on the right way. So that just slides right back over the top. And it sits snugly back in place. So now we will go ahead and flip this over again. And we are going to switch back to now our Torx 20. And I like to get all the bolts into place first before I screw them all down. Alright, now we'll screw those down, and that'll help pull everything all together. Go. It's going down in the rest of the way there. Almost there. Alright, now we're going to get right here. You don't really want to over tighten these. You want to get them just tight enough, because if you over tight, you're likely going to break those tabs on the inside. Alright, so now that that's there, go ahead and reapply the feet. And if for some reason your sticky tape just isn't very sticky anymore, or if you need to put something else, like it's just too old, just won't stick to anything anymore, you can always just get some regular double-sided tape. You don't want to use something like crazy glue in case you ever need to get back into it, because that won't work out well. But if you use something like some new double-sided tape, you'll be able to reuse it more again in the future. So there we go. The console is now back together. Got your nice seams right here. Nothing is popping out, looking good on the sides. And the laser head has been cleaned inside of the CD drive. So there you have it, everybody. That was the inside of the original Microsoft Xbox, and that is how you go about cleaning the head and cleaning up the inside of the console. Now, if you like this video, please go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons down below, and also hit that notification bell. That way you get alerted every time I got a new video coming out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later. Time to go play some games.